Welcome, everyone. I have the pleasure of presenting the first speaker of this session, so Dr. Marjo Kyllönen. She's head of Development Service Unit in Helsinki Education Division. And this division, Helsinki Education Division, provides education services from early childhood education up to adult training. And there are approximately 14,000 professionals serving around 160,000 customers. So it's a big issue. Dr. Kyllönen has a long history and experience in the education sector. She has worked in the leading profession for education services for over 16 years because she has a PhD in education and a lot of experience in this area. She has been appointed to various committees on national level, among other issues, national core curriculum work, people's welfare, people's assessment, etc. And on city level, she is in the lead for curriculum renewal and implementing the future school concept in Helsinki. She has also various publications on this subject. So future school, social cohesion and well-being, leadership evaluation, multicultural issues, multi-professional cooperation, etc. So I'm very pleased to have you here with us, Marjo, and I give you the word. Thank you.
So it's my great pleasure to be with you, and it's really inspiring to have this moment to share with you my insights of future competencies and how to build up a sustainable future. So let's see how this will work. Education, it really builds up societies, and to be successful and sustainable in the future, we must understand the nature of education and its role in the individual's life as well in society. The thing is that we can't predict our future, but we can create it. And as educators, we really have the future of our nations in our hands, as education is the most powerful tool to do to create our future. So it really makes a difference. How do we educate our children and our young ones today? We are living in the era of accelerating change. I don't need to remind you that. World has become more unpredictable and the change is exponential. Our environment, working places, classes, classrooms are becoming more and more diverse. And we meet wicked problems that can't be solved by using traditional approaches, as these past months have really, in a very realistic way, shown us. Our everyday life and routines can be disrupted, unexpected. In a rapid changing world, we need to rethink what's education for. We need a vision. What do we need in 10 to 20 or 30 years time span? John Hegel said that industrial age was about scaling efficiency, and an age of smart automation is about scaling learning. And this kind of emphasized the importance of lifelong learning, as we have already become lifelong learners. But my question today is that, are we fully aware of this? And is the shift seen in our education practices and processes? Or are we still preparing our children and young ones to the world of industrial era, the world that do not exist? The task of the education is to prepare our children and young ones for the future, provide them with the competencies needed in the future society and labor market. And that's why we need to have at least a rough picture and understanding how the environment in labor market, for example, has changed. Businesses, corporations, organization. When you are looking at this picture, so just think, how does that affect to the competencies that are required in these new changing working environments? From the top-down hierarchies, we are executing networks, network society and businesses and relationships. Instead of competing for market sharing, we are creating new markets together with our partners and also with our customers. And from function-based works in silos, so today and tomorrow, the requirement is a competence, ability to have project-based teamwork, to do together things, and to have this kind of innovative mindset of resolving problems. And the change in the labor market is so quick that it's predicted that in the very near future, our young ones, by the age of 40, they will have 40 careers instead of 30 years in the very same career and then retire. That was probably the case with me. One very important and maybe the most fundamental change that affects our education is how technology has revolutionized the concept of knowledge. Some things may look alike, but they are not. These two learners are having and carrying the very similar, almost similar devices if you look at the shape. But the learning concept behind these two pictures is totally different. In the beginning of 1900s, the task of the learner was to copy what the teacher taught and try to remember it by heart. The teacher was the gatekeeper of information and she had the holy grail of knowledge in her hands. The 2020 learner may have the design that looks like this blackboard, but the concept is totally flipped. This is a gateway to unlimited sources of information. And dear colleagues, educators, we get lost if we try to implement the pedagogy of the blackboard to the 2020 learner. So the crucial question is, what are then the competencies needed in the future? We know that the children who are at the elementary education today will be active players at labor market 2070 to even 28. So how to prepare them to be full members of our society? These past months have shown us how unpredictable our future is and how our everyday routines like going to work, school, shopping has unexpectedly disrupted. Children and young, they are struggling with the anxiety and uncertainty during these, they have done that during this pandemic time and still are. And yet, uncertainty is characteristic to the 21st century. So that's why we need time and space to reflect what are the core competencies for the future, how to build resiliency for the present and for the future. And my question that is written also here is that do we teach our children to adapt to the current situation and environment or shape our future for the well-being and sustainability of all? It's our choice if we just want to do it. Social and emotional skills, well-being plays greater role than ever in building up the sustainability and success of our society. And if we want to promote well-learning, we must think of how to promote well-being and agency and go-agency of our children and young ones. Social and emotional well-being is tightly connected to the sense of belonging to the society. And that's why we need to understand the importance of students' agency or children's agency and go-agency. Agency to be an active player in your own life. Our children and young ones must have a real experience of being subjects of their own life and active members of the society together. A genuine experience of participation and agency brings up sense of belonging and motivation, understanding that you have the ownership of your own life and your actions make difference to you and to your neighbors. And this is the best way also to prevent polarization and exclusion from the society. In the future, the holistic skills and competencies become more and more and more important. It's not only knowledge, we need different type of knowledge, but the skills are in the focus. So let's have a look at one approach, how to define these holistic skills and competencies needed in the future. I will pick some of these, like if you're looking this like collaboration, empathy. That's something that has not been that often mentioned amongst the family of future skills and competencies, but actually this has increased its importance when thinking of the future skills in societies and also in labor market. That is listed on the top nowadays if we ask from the corporations and labor market. Also resiliency, and that's really important if thinking like the past months experiences, how to be resilient in the change, how to cope, how to have the courage and how to find new solutions. It's also engagement and responsibility for what you are doing and responsibility for the globe and planet as well. And creativity is often mentioned and has been mentioned as one of the core future competence. Innovation and design thinking are needed in the world where we meet wicked problems that can't be solved by using the traditional approaches. And I'd like to take this a bit deeper. What is really needed is an ability to act in a sustainable and successful way in every action. It's also an ability to shape your environment, to be part of the community. And this brings us to this very, very interesting future competence that is called transformative competence. This competence is introduced, for example, in the OECD framework that was released last October 2019. And in that, for example, OECD defines the transformative competence as an ability to shape a world where well-being and sustainability is as for themselves and for the others is achievable, and also for the whole planet. So it's building up a sustainable future in a way that our young ones are capable and they have the competence of creating new value. It's not just repeating or trying to correct one corner. It's really an ability to shape your environment, not just to adapt or improve. It's to shape, to create new values, to really find new solutions out of the box. And it's not every solution, not every innovation is a good innovation. It's a good innovation when you do it in the responsible way, like for sustainability of this planet and the human beings. And it's also very interesting that is mentioned in this bubble, this reconciles tensions and dilemmas. That is not very often mentioned when we talk about the future school. But thinking of the current situation in the globe, where tensions where we can find a lot of tension, different tensions, not only in between nation or inside nation, also kind of opinions, for example, climate change and so on and so on. So our young ones, they really need this kind of capability or ability of reconcile tensions and dilemmas, and to live in the world where you meet this constantly. I will kind of come to the end of my presentation and close it with one example how we in Finland, how we have been thinking of these challenges, and what could be a practical example, what would be something that we could start to do today, and how to change our education practices, and how to really promote our children with these holistic competencies. Sometimes I think that lip service is easy, but then how to make it happen? As we in the school, we are quite strict in the traditional way of doing things, specifically if the curriculum is very strictly split into subjects. But I encourage you to think out of the box, to think like what could we do differently, and we did that some years ago. We asked ourselves, life is not split into subjects, so why should learning? And we came to a very it might sound difficult, but actually the solutions are quite practical, and you can start to implement them when you get the idea behind these principles. So we started to implement or design and implement so-called phenomenon-based learning. Phenomenon-based learning it's about collaboration. Pupils do together. That is a crucial skill when thinking of solving, for example, the wicked problems. They share expertise. It's shared expertise, so everyone has a value in that process. They have their expertise. They bring that to this research project or their project, what they are doing. It's all about problem solving. Teachers are not giving the answers, or there is no right answer in the book. It's something that there's a problem, real life problem that they are tackling with, and they want to solve it. They want to come a new approach or innovation, how to solve that problem. And I just want to emphasize the importance of this ability of shaping the environment to find new solutions for the current wicked problems that we are meeting. It's transdisciplinary and student-led approach. We are using the different tools and objectives. They emerge in this project, but during the project, the students, they learn to not only to use different tools of the subject, but kind of this kind of transdisciplinary thinking. It's kind of changing the approach and using the tools and thinking strategies for different subject and sciences simultaneously in the very same project. It's always holistic. It emphasizes they are tackling with a holistic real life phenomena and problems and challenges that they are interested in, and the learning process approach is holistic, as I already explained to you. It's authentic in a way that we teach our children to use the authentic tools and thinking strategies to work like the professionals or researchers are working. And this is, by the way, one of the key knowledge that is described in the OECD framework to be able to use the thinking strategies and tools like a professional does. It's contextual. It means that it's related to the real life experiences and environment of our children. They know what they are learning. They know how it's connected to their everyday life experiences, and they know how they can use and utilize this knowledge to their everyday life. So it's very motivating. And it's emphasizing the agency and go-agency of our pupils. They are the owners of their own learning process. They are the active part from the planning stage up to the evaluation, and they do things always together. So they also learn to reflect together with their mates and support their mates' work as well. So, as said, this promotes cross-disciplinary, flexible thinking, and that is required when we are solving the big problems of today and tomorrow. And we are utilizing the whole city as a learning platform. Dear educators, we can't capture learning inside the classrooms or school buildings. The whole city, the whole globe is a space for learning and place for learning. And technology is a natural and ubiquitous part of learning environment. It's not the thing. It's serving the learning. If it's not serving the learning, if it's not accordingly our pedagogical objectives, then we don't use that technology. Then we don't use that application. So technology is there just to help and accelerate the learning of our learners, make it visible, make it concrete, help to personalize their learning. To build sustainable and successful future, we must, and I want to emphasize that, we must promote well-being and well-learning of all. And keeping that in mind, so I want to encourage you and just to remind you that education is never a cost. It's an investment for the future. So let's make wise investments. Our children are our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marjo, for this very inspiring and optimistic talk. We'll discuss the presentation at the end of this session.